Hi everyone, my name is Justin Ashbrook. If you're finding me for the first time, I do videos about DC like this. I do Marvel videos, I do Doctor Who videos, sometimes I post music here. So today I'm going to be talking about Stargirl episode 5, giving my review of that, and also talking a little bit about my thoughts on the series so far, since I'm not going to do individual reviews for episodes 1 through 4. I'm just trying to keep it current. So I'll do reviews for the episodes as they come out. And I'll also talk generally about the series in the future and what I like to see from it. And before we start, if you could please give this video a like, that would be really good. Okay, so let's get started. One thing just to clarify, I am going to be talking about the DC Universe cut of this. I don't think they're that different between the DC Universe cut and the CW cut. But I've just only seen the DC Universe cut, so that's what I'm going to be talking about. But if you've only seen the CW cut, you should be fine. 95% of what I say should still apply. So I have some notes. I liked parts of this episode. Overall, I enjoyed it. But I also think it had some flaws, especially due to repetitiveness. So first I'll talk about what I liked, and then I'll talk about what I don't like. So I did like Stargirl and Wildcat, the performances and the way they're written for the most part. But most of the episode is focused on introducing Hourman and who's the other guy? Dr. Midnight. So that's, as far as characters, I'm going to be mainly talking about them. I liked part of Hourman's introduction, especially the opening scene where the parents basically leave him to his uncle. His dad giving him the Mustang was really powerful, and then you see later he's working on the Mustang, so that's kind of sweet. The scene also really shows you how powerful Solomon Grundy is. We haven't seen a whole lot of him actually succeeding in what he's doing. So the last few times we saw him, he was in that cage, and then the very beginning scene, he tried to get Starman and Pat, but they got away because of the flying car. So it really shows you how powerful he is, whereas the scenes in the previous episodes didn't. So I really like that. And the other thing I liked about his introduction, Hourman, is that he wants to blame one singular thing, which I feel like is a really relatable instead of it being more nuanced than that. So in the beginning, when he thinks his parents crashed into the tree, he's punching the tree, and even though it's a little silly, it seems like it's in character and it's something that he would do. And after he gets the hourglass, he he destroys the tree, and I feel like he's really well characterized as far as his uncle abusing him and him hating his uncle, and he's trying to be a mechanic, but the uncle's stopping him from that, and that kind of adding to his motivation of wanting to be a hero. And even though there's some stuff I don't like about the uncle storyline, which I'll talk about when I talk about the things I didn't like, it really added a lot of depth to his character. So another thing I liked, and this is true for throughout the series, was both the soundtrack and the score. So, quick music terminology. A soundtrack refers to existing songs that have been put into the movie, or in this case, the TV show. So, like anything you've heard, the songs that have lyrics that are just actual songs that are in there, that would be a soundtrack. A score refers to music that is written just specifically for that TV show or movie. So it's usually like orchestral, so things that you hear in this that are string orchestra, that kind of thing, that would be a score. So I liked both the soundtrack and the score. The songs are placed really well and they fit the vibe. The show has mostly a light tone, so the songs are reflective of that, and especially there was this one song, I think it was last episode, it was like a reggae song that just fit like super well.
press people button. Nobody chat come face me with something. Like when me have 22 in a me something. Then I feel so to get the next dozen food.
And then the score is done really well by, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Pinar Toprak. She's known for the Captain Marvel movie. Not the best movie, but great score. And she's actually graduate of my school, Berklee College of Music, so that's kind of fun. Another thing I really liked about this and the whole series and this episode too is the cinematography. The visuals look really good. They're very bright, which matches the bright tone. The tone is for the most part bright. It gets darker when the subject material wants it to be darker, but for the most part, it's like really bright and happy. So the visuals really add to that, and that's what I think cinematography should always do. It should strengthen what the show is doing story wise. So story wise, the story's really bright. So have bright cinematography to strengthen that. Especially the car. The car is like really well done. It looks really well. I'm talking about the flying car, stripes flying car that turns into a robot. Another YouTuber named Eric's Reloaded referred to this as the cinematography as cinematic, and I think that's really accurate. The production value feels like it's a movie, and I think the show should really be applauded for that. I guess since it's on DC Universe as well, it has more of a budget than your typical CW show, so that could be why the show looks so good. But the cinematography is really well done. So another thing I really like is the villains in this episode. I mentioned Solomon Grundy, who was really good this episode. The fiddler was really good, playing violin creepily and like kind of like weirdly mind controlling those guys. It came across as like really scary and effective, and just being a musician, I kind of like the whole playing music as part of your villain act thing. So I really enjoyed that. And then there's another villain who I can't remember the name of, so I'm just going to call him Colonel Sanders because he looks exactly like Colonel Sanders. And I think you guys will know who I'm talking about if you've seen this episode. Colonel Sanders was really good. The actor gave a really good performance. I think he's having a great time playing the part. And I'm really curious to see what he's doing with that satellite. I haven't read the Justice Society of America Geoff Johns run that this is based on, so I don't know if it ties into that somehow. I'm going to get around to reading those soon. But regardless, I am very interested in what the Injustice Society would want to do with the satellite. And before I start talking about things I don't like, I just want to say that Dr. Midnight's introduction was fine. I don't have much to say about it. It worked. It was functional. The character's a little bit annoying, but I think I can get on board with it. And speaking of annoying characters, that actually brings me to my first negative, which is Stargirl's brother. It's kind of nitpicky, but every time he's on screen, I just cringe.
Sharp objects coming through. Say hello to the family. You are a disturbed little man. I appreciate it.
And I can't find anything to like about him. If someone does like something about him, please tell me in the comments, because I don't, and I'd like to find a way to see some positivity with this character. But every time he's on screen, he's just really cringe, he's annoying, and he doesn't really add anything to the story, I feel like. So I think for future episodes, what I would like to see would either be him just taken out of most of the episodes, or write his character in a way that at least has some qualities that I can latch onto and be like, okay, he's still like the annoying brother, but I can like this about him or that about him. I also don't like how Pat's characterization of being overprotective, asking Stargirl to not do anything, has gone on for this long. I feel like it was okay for the first couple episodes, but now it just feels forced. And Pat is a smart guy, and I feel like he should be able to realize that Stargirl is going to do Stargirl stuff with his approval or not. And the safer thing to do would be for Pat to kind of facilitate that. Like, for example, Wildcat was there to tell her not to last episode, but in the last episode, she suggested cutting off power to a hospital, which would have like killed a bunch of people. So if she had been alone, she probably would have done that. And luckily Wildcat was there, but she's not there all the time that Stargirl's doing Stargirl stuff. So Pat being there would make it safer, and I don't think he realizes it just yet. So I would really like to see that storyline wrap up soon and just have him either be on just comms or be Stripe the robot alongside them. So now I'm going to talk about the main issue I had with this episode, which is that Hourman's origin felt too similar to Wildcat's. So everything I'm about to say applies to both of their backstories, and I'm going to be looking down a lot because there's a lot here. So both of them have abusive parental figures that are used for character development. Both are approached by Stargirl, and they refuse wanting to be a superhero the first time. Then Stargirl follows them and borderline stalks them. And eventually they agree to get their powers, or the suit or wherever it was. After they get their powers, they have the same exact arc of trying to kill someone who wronged them and then realizing they shouldn't do it and then become a superhero after all of that. So even though there's nothing inherently wrong with having two of the minor characters having a similar backstory, I especially don't like it because Wildcat was the episode right before this. So it's kind of like a rehash of the previous episode just with a different character. So I feel like it would have worked better if either obviously they had more of a different backstory. Also, what they could have done was not have those episodes exactly back to back. So if they had done one of those things, the show would be better. So now I'll talk about generally my overall thoughts on this episode. So the goal of this episode was basically to introduce Hourman and Dr. Midnight, and it did accomplish that well while having really good performances from the cast, good cinematography, good music, and really good scenes with the villains. Although the introduction of Hourman was kind of repetitive to Wildcat's origin story, so that made it feel a little less fresh, a little repetitive, kind of a rehash from the previous episode. But I still really enjoyed the episode, and I've been really enjoying the series so far. So I am really excited for where the series is going to go, and especially once we have a full-fledged Justice Society and Injustice Society, it's going to be really cool to see them face off. And I think a huge part of why the series is doing so well is because Geoff Johns, who's one of the co-creators, is working on the show. Another example of that is Black Lightning, where some of the co-creators are working on the show. So I feel like that really elevates the show quality and kind of makes sure that you've nailed the character. And a few specific things I want to talk about that I'm interested in for future episodes. I'm really interested to see what's going on with that satellite, as I said, what they're going to do with it. And I'm wondering what's going on with Janitor Justin, because it's been really cryptic and kind of creepy. Like, twice so far, I think, he's bumped into the characters and said, like, really cryptic and creepy things. Like, to Beth at school, he bumps into her and says,
"Woo! Careful. There are dragons in the water."
and it's just really scary and creepy, so I'm wondering what's happening with that. I'm also really excited for Green Lantern on the show. I believe it's the first time that a live-action TV show has been able to use Green Lantern, has the rights to it, so that's really exciting. I know that Diggle's going to be the Jon Stewart Green Lantern on Superman and Lois coming up this spring, so I'm really excited for that as well.
sense that this universe is far bigger than any of us could have dared imagine.
I don't know what kind of Green Lantern they're gonna do because the one on Stargirl, because the one that got killed off presumably is Alan Scott. So I feel like they're gonna do something related to Alan Scott. I would love if they did Jessica Cruz, since she's personally my favorite Green Lantern. But I feel like they're not gonna do that. They're gonna do something related to Alan Scott, like maybe his son or daughter or something like that. And another thing is that I would really love to see Stargirl cross over into the Arrowverse. She is on Earth 2 as of that Crisis on Infinite Earths tag scene where they're rebooting the universe.
Filling it with life. With the multiverse. Every existence multiplied by possibility.
And specifically, it would be really cool to see them cross over the Stargirl show with the Flash, because the tones are both pretty similar and they kind of don't take themselves as seriously, the two shows. And the Flash, I'm wearing my Flash shirt today. The Flash is just one of my favorite DC shows, so that would be really cool. Also, it would be really cool to see Stargirl show up in the next big Arrowverse crossover. The one they're doing next year, probably not, because that's just going to be Batwoman versus Superman. But for the following one, where they're all kind of back, all those other characters like Supergirl and the Flash, etc., it would be really cool to see Stargirl. And more so, the cast really wants to cross over with the Arrowverse. So I feel like it's really going to happen, and when it happens, it will be really strong.
Breck was talking about, someone asked, like, would storylines ever, start connecting from other shows, and Breck was saying she'd like to do something with Supergirl. So yeah, I think it would be kind of cool, like, once the show gets rolling after this first season, to start kind of broadening the horizons and introducing new characters, not just from the DC universe, but from the Arrow universe.
Yeah, I said Supergirl just because I think Supergirl and Stargirl, like just the names in general, kind of lend to them needing to work together.
Flash would be pretty cool.
I'm still learning about the Arrowverse, so I couldn't give you my recommendation yet.
How about all of them? Let's go with that.
Yeah, like just one of those huge crossovers like that they just had this past year. We'll be in one of those.
Yeah.
So that's it for this review. I hope you enjoyed my rambly review about Stargirl episode 5. And if you did, please consider subscribing. It helps the channel grow, obviously, and it lets me know that you guys are enjoying the type of content that I'm putting out there. And also, please leave a comment. It could be about anything. You can let me know what you thought of this week's Stargirl, or of just Stargirl in general. Also, if you guys have other suggestions of videos I could do, you can leave them in the comments below. And I hope I see you next time, and stay shui.